And where is that warp prism? So this build, it does rely a lot on multitasking in the mid to late game. You can do some drop play, blink your stalkers around, and if you know that your Dark Templar spotted 1 or 2 extra bases, you can blink your stalkers up and watch this. Dark Templar picking off that drone. No 4th base for you. Where is Fleet Beacon? Going down. Gonna want to get that mothership out. And I do eventually get that charge upgrade because, of course, it is good to have, and you're gonna have enough money anyway. Going up to that 4th base. Zerglings spotting for that, but of course, I did have the warp prism in position. You could, of course, just blink in 1 or 2 stalkers as well. And this warp prism, gonna go back for some harassment, trying to pick off this spire. If you can keep your warp prism alive for the entire game, you can of course use it during later pushes in order to deal with that sort of delay in warp-ins. You don't have to build any sort of proxy pylons, and of course it can be used constantly for harassment. You can warp in more zealots. I believe I did get the charge upgrade just so that the zealots would be more effective at harassing. And of course wanting to cannon up that 4th base so it's safe. Gives you enough time to get your units over to that side. And mothership should be being produced fairly soon. And as I said before, getting those ground and shield upgrades. That Dark Templar did eventually get taken out, but you've successfully delayed the Zerg. You've established your 4th base before his and or her 4th base. And still Dark Templar harassing those. Of course the Overseer did spot that, and a bunch of Zealots in the main base cleaning up more things. Did take out that spire. Not going to be able to pick off this hatchery as I was not focused on target firing that. However, more gateways going to go down. You're going to go up to a lot. When you take your 3rd base, you're going to go up to 10. But of course, as you get into the later stages of the game, as you get closer and closer to maxed, you want to just throw down stupid amounts of gateways so you can remax as fast as possible if you do happen to lose a good portion of your army. And if we look here, more Dark Templar being warped in. 4th base just getting established here while yours is finished already. And of course, where is that mothership? It is actually very delayed, should be getting that a lot earlier, and more Dark Templar. Dark Templar are actually a really good unit just straight up. You don't have to use them for harassment, although they are very good at that as well. A Dark Templar will one-shot a Zergling, and of course they are useful in the fact that it requires Overseers to see them. So if you see only 1 or 2 Overseers and you feel like you can, go ahead and blink your Stalkers around and pick those off, making your Dark Templar even more effective. And there's the mothership coming out. Should be also researching that shields upgrade. There we go. And I believe I was going to send these stalkers. Yep, going to be sending those to the 4th over here while doing some harassment with this over here. And it did get spotted, so the Zerg player going to be running a few roaches up to this side. But of course with blink you can easily escape so long as they're not fungaled. But if you do see infestors, you can just blink away immediately afterwards anyway. And Dark Templar doing some work in the main. Picking off another hatchery, picking off more drones. And these stalkers still just blinking around. I was scouting to see if there were still roaches here, see if I could get the 4th as well, but of course not able to do that. And completely missed fungals there from those. If you can pick off the infestors first, that would be awesome. It'll force the Zerg to use their larvae on infestors instead of those corruptors that they want in the late game, and of course it'll force them to use their gas on those infestors instead of broodlords as well. Moving out, mothership is going to be finishing up. Where is that? Did I cancel that? Aw, I did. Anyway, if you're not stupid and you don't cancel your mothership, you should be fine. And of course, going up to this 5th base, going to be able to deny this 4th as well with your huge army. The other reason Dark Templar are good is because if they don't have Overseers, they'll need to use fungals to spot your Dark Templar instead of holding your Stalkers in position. And of course, your Dark Templar will be up farther forwards from your army, so the fungals will not be hitting the entirety of your army there. 5th base going up, Dark Templar doing some work here as there is no Overseer. And of course, picking off some units. It doesn't matter if you lose all your Stalkers, you can still pick off this hatchery, pick off a good portion of their ground units. Of course, wasting Infestor energy is useful as well. I realized that I could not win this fight, so I just turned up, killed this hatchery, and of course you have good amounts of gateways to completely remax your army. And also a good portion, or a good bank as well. You have a bigger bank than the Zerg, you have more bases than the Zerg. That is very uncommon. But, of course, with this play, you're able to deny bases, you're able to deny bases, you're able to do harassment, force the Zerg to use larvae on other things than drones in the early game, and getting those vital upgrades, shield upgrades for those immortals, and there we go, finally producing that mothership. And Dark Templar gonna be benefiting from those shield upgrades if you do morph those into Archons. And the other thing is, if you have a lot of Dark Templar, they're useful not only I think that they're more useful than Templar. Templar, of course, can feed back those Infestors and use Storm, but Dark Templar are not a circumstantial unit. You don't require energy to use them, and they can still become Archons, and look at that stupid amount of Dark Templar. You can morph those all into Archons if you need to. Of course, they are still a good unit, just straight up cannoning up this 5th base as well to defend that. Zerg still getting that 4th up, and I do know that there is still no 5th over here, as I do have the Dark Templar. I believe that Warp Prism did get taken out by a few Corruptors. You can also use Dark Templar to grab these watchtowers, but not vitally important. Your Blink Stalkers will be able to get to either base, and if you have a good amount of cannons, your bases should be fairly well defended. Of course, just picking off Creep Tumors is good in general, and with that, you can easily win. You have a much better army than the Zerg does, much bigger army than the Zerg does, and of course, you have a much bigger bank than the Zerg does. So, one vortex here. You don't even have to use a vortex, but of course, it is still pretty awesome. Morphing these all into Archons. Look how many Archons that is. Vortex going down. Easy, easy win. You can, of course, throw all those Archons into the vortex for an Archon toilet, and gonna be winning this game decisively afterward. There we go. Look at all that dead stuff. Things dying, Infestors dying, and you force a rage quit. Alright, so to recap, you are going to be doing a 2-gate pressure. This build works best on Ohana. Of course, it does work on other maps, but you do have to worry about circling run-bys if you go up to a 3rd base. This map layout is also useful in the fact that the 3rd and the main base are relatively far distances away, especially if these rocks aren't broken down, which they most likely won't be in the early game. And of course, if the Zerg is going to be going up to a 4th, that is even farther away from the main base, so you can be doing some harassment. If they do take the 4th here, you can of course use your Warp Prism and just bounce back and forth. They take their 4th over here, you can use your Blink Stalkers to run up here, and your Warp Prism over here. Force the Zerg army to split up. So 2-gate pressure, going to be getting that +1 upgrade, and of course the shields and attack upgrades throughout the game. If you do end up getting all of those upgrades, you can of course go up to that armor, as it is still useful. Taking your 3rd base behind a Dark Shrine, still producing Immortals of course, and that Blink upgrade as well. I do believe, yep, air upgrades, just because you have stupid amounts of money. And I did get that Templar Archives because, of course, having every tech structure is still good. Going up to 3 bases, sending Dark Templar to spot for the extra 4th bases that the Zerg could have, and sending a Warp Prism up to the main, while also checking the expansions with your other Dark Templar. You can keep your Warp Prism alive if you don't get fungaled, if you don't somehow completely misuse it and send it over a bunch of queens or a bunch of spore crawlers. And when you have enough money, when you feel like you are safe as you get close to the 16 to 18 minute mark, you can throw down that 4th base, throw up a bunch of cannons, of course park your army right around here. You don't have to worry about this ramp, as you do have a full wall off here. So you can park your army around here and still be able to defend both of these expansions. And it's that Stargate going up when you have enough money after establishing that 3rd. Getting that mothership out as well with that fleet beacon. And you should be fine to win the game. Alright, so I hope that was useful and informative. If you guys have any questions, please leave those in the comment section below. And of course, feedback is always appreciated. So, with that, I will see you guys next time.